Welcome back. Today is World Table Tennis Day, and there's truly no better moment to be celebrating it right here in India. Last month, India's men and women's teams created history by qualifying for the upcoming Paris Olympics.
So we thought let's put a spotlight on India's tries to win table tennis through the decades. Now remember, there have been about 8 times national champion Kamlesh Mehta, currently the Secretary General of the Table Tennis Federation as well, and considered the first star for Indian table tennis. He became the first paddler for India to qualify as well, and this was for Olympics in 1988.
He's really considered the first big name on the scene. But right after that, there is Sharath Kamal, who's known as the game changer. He revolutionized Indian table tennis, it's believed. He broke Mehta, who we just spoke about, his record for national titles. And he's 41 today, and he's still showing absolutely no signs of slowing down.
There's also G. Satyan and Harpreet Desai, and we haven't even gotten to the trailblazing women in the table tennis space. There is Manika Batra, Shrija Akula, and these days table tennis is a packed field, one of the top 10 most popular sports even in India.
And it really hasn't always been that way. That's what's so incredible, that this shift has happened just over the last few decades. To tell us more about this long journey, we have with us India's flag bearer this year at the Paris Olympics, Sharath Kamal. Let's go over to him. Sir, you've been active on this scene since the early 2000s, and you continue to scale new heights in your 40s, as we were just telling our audiences. How have you seen the table tennis scene change over the last few decades?
I think the basic idea of sport being professional, that idea has come into being. So 10 years ago, sport was predominantly a hobby, a passion, and not many people knew that you could have a living out of sport, and you could do it professionally and follow your passion to the fullest. That was including with my own family members, and when I started winning international medals, a lot of them would still ask, it's better that you study, you have some bachelor's or masters, stuff like that. By that time, I'd already become the first Indian to win a gold medal at the Commonwealth Games, and still people were talking that way, because that was the awareness back then. And I think in the last 10 years, 10 or slightly more, after London Olympic Games, a lot of things have changed into being more professional.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about what's happening currently in the scene. This year is also the first time both men and women tennis teams have qualified for the Olympics. You've, of course, mentored them as well. What is the focus at this stage? Do you think India is ready?
So, team championships was introduced back in 2008. 2008 was the first time we had team championships. Until then, it was singles and doubles. Then they started singles and team championships. In team championships, you would have a doubles event. So that's how they tried to include a couple of more players in the team and give more opportunities for players. So 2008 for the first time when the team was introduced. And back then we were not very high in the rankings. We were around 30, 20, 28 or 30 in the world rankings. So we didn't even stand a chance to qualify. The closest that we got was in Tokyo, was for Tokyo, where our career best ranking for India was 10 in the world. We were in the top 10. There was 1 month where we were also 9 in the world. So that's been the highest that we've done. But we've come this far, from being 30 to around 10 in the world in a span of nearly 12, 13 years. So we've come a very far way. But when we missed out in Tokyo, we felt quite disappointed. We expected to make it there, but unfortunately it didn't happen. So my primary goal after Tokyo Olympic Games was to just qualify for the team championships at the Paris Olympic Games.
Wow, so number 30 to number 10 world over in, I think you're saying a little more than a decade. That's incredible. Can you tell us, athletes from China, when we just look at the rankings, the men and the women's rankings, athletes from China continue their domination of table tennis. When you watch hundreds of Indians training every single day, do you see something unique in the Indian temperament that Indians are bringing to the sport on the table?
As an Indian race by itself across fields, not just sport, but across fields. As Indians, we are very, very competitive. We want to be, always, we want to be better than people around, or, you always set goals. You're always working quite hard. We as a race are pretty hardworking guys, because I've seen this across fields. Because I think also because with the population that we have, everybody needs to, make sure that they're able to push beyond the competition so that they're able to do better. So, as Indian players, when we go abroad, also a lot of the foreign coaches, a lot of the support staff, they're very, very happy to have us in the training group, just because there's very less fuss, and we are always willing to work, uh, trying to get better within ourselves. So that's something which we've got very well. And in the recent time, especially in the World Championships, in Korea that happened. Our Indian girls played their first match against China in the World Championships, in the World Team Championships, and we were 2-1 ahead of China. This was the first time I think India has ever got into this kind of a situation where we won two matches in a five match tie, and we were ahead of China, which very few teams across the world get into that kind of an opportunity.
Yeah. So, Sharath, we're speaking to you on Table Tennis Day, right? If there are young people who want to pick up the table tennis racket today, get inspired, there are others who are already in the game. Do you have some piece of advice for them?
Well, I think rather than grooming the talents in the younger kids, there's a lot more grooming that has to be done to the parents these days. Because I am a parent myself. I have two kids. I can clearly see if somebody is able to tell me, okay, man, just do this, this, and this, the kid will just have his or her own way, and they will figure it out. It's a lot easier because we're telling the kids, okay, this is what you have to do, but then are we giving them the uh, right channel, let's say, the right kind of exposure, or are we not rubbing out our expectations and our expectations and the pressure from within us onto the kids? So we need to let them blossom as they do. But at the same time, even as a parent, I would like to have some amount of mentoring from the coaches, from the senior players, trying to understand, okay, this is what has to be done. This is this the you need to work on the physical fitness, and that is why we need 45 minutes or 1 hour in a day. Then we need to have table tennis for 2-3 hours, and to make sure that the kid does well over the long run. It's a long process. We can't expect results in 2 to 3 years.
So we know that a lot of the younger players, especially right now, a lot of them are actually training abroad. They cut their teeth, for example, in Germany. Is that an indication that there needs to be more infrastructure built right here in India?
The first thing, the most important reason why we wander out. So I've spent nearly 14 years in Europe, and I've spent a lot of time in Asia also. And in the recent times, there's a lot of dominance from Asia. So it's even better to train in Asia rather than in Europe. The reason being, there's knowledge about the sport there. They've played it for a longer period of time at the highest level. So making champions for them is something which the system is able to do constantly. So I went there for that reason, first thing. And the second thing, as you say, India is a growing sporting nation. Only in the recent years do we understand that sports needs a certain amount of infrastructure. Otherwise, it's more or less like we had these public parks, we have the public, places where you just play, you just do a sport, and from there you just find talents and then you just groom them, and we show up into the international level. But to do it systematically, we need a good structure and system with very good infrastructure. Because I still remember in the initial years when I went abroad to play the tournaments for India, just by seeing the size of the hall, I would be intimidated. I will be like, oh, can we even play here? We would be so scared. We would be so shy to do a lot of stuff. But then once I moved into Europe and started living there, that that was beyond, I passed that.
All right then. Thanks so much for joining us there and sharing your perspective, and good luck to all the tennis players out there, table tennis players out there who are also going in for Olympics.